Shabbat Shalom. We're going to begin with the Nigun. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Page 1, Maya Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Maya Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Maya Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Maya Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom again. Welcome this evening to our services. I don't know if you can see behind me, but I'm very excited this evening to have Rabbi Goodman and Marilyn with me on the bima. Rabbi's going to deliver a sermon for us a little bit later. There is a new service. This is the second Shabbat that we're using it, a new packet. If you don't have the new spring 2021 packet, it is fine. Most of the prayers in there are the same. There are just some different readings, and you will be able to follow along. But if you do have the new one, we are on page 1 right at the top. Reb Nachman said that a human being reaches in 3 directions: inward to self, outward to people, and upward to God. The real secret, taught Nachman, is that the 3 are one. When we are connected to ourselves, we can reach out to others. When we reach out to others, we may come to know God. And we continue at the bottom of the page with Zamru Ladonai, sing praises to Adonai, our God. Yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, yai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, yai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, And as we turn over now to page 2, it is my honor to invite Rabbi Goodman and Marilyn Goodman to come join us to light our Shabbat candles this evening.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlich ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the lights of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you who commands us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. We continue now just below. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. Page 3. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace, and we welcome the Shabbat bride with the words of Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Kalai, Alalai, 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 Pene Shabbat, Nekavila. Shabbat nikabila shanmon vesachor b'diburecha ishmiyanu el hamiyuchad Adonai echad ushmo echad l'shemu tiferet v'litchila lecha dodi lecha kala Yalalai, 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 Pene Shabbat nikabila Lecha Dodi Lecha Kala Yalalai, 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 Pene Shabbat nikabila Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki himekor habra pene Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi lika kala yalalai 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 pene Shabbat nekabela boi l'shalom hateret bala gam misimcha u'zola toch emunei yam sigula boi chala lecha dodi lika kala yalalai 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 pene Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi lika kala yalalai 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 pene Shabbat nekabela. The bottom of page 4. Yitkadash mei rabba Bi'amadi v'rachirutei v'yamlich machutei B'chai heichon u'vyom heichon Uv'chai decho beit Yisrael Bagala U'vizmahan kariv V'yimeru amen Yehi shmei rabba mevorach le'olam u'l'olmei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitardar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dukudsha b'richu leila min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran b'yama v'yimeru amen. And as we turn to the top of page 5, we rise either or in body or in spirit for our call to prayer. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of tide, of time, and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, from whom the evening flows. At the top of page 6. Hear, O Israel, the divine abounds everywhere and dwells in everything. The many are one. Loving life in its mysterious source with all our heart and our spirit, all our senses and strength, we take upon ourselves and into ourselves these promises: to care for the earth and those who live upon it, to pursue justice and peace, to love kindness and compassion. We will teach this to our children throughout the passage of the day as we dwell in our homes and as we go on our journeys, from the time we rise until we fall asleep. And may our actions be faithful to our words, that our children's children may live to know. Truth and kindness have embraced, peace and justice have kissed and are one. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael, praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people, Israel. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam Vahed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam Vahed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Let's be seated as we continue together at the bottom of page 6 with the words of Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam lehot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'isharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני Adonai Elohechem. We'll continue right in the middle of the page. When justice burns within us like a flaming fire, when love evokes willing sacrifice from us, when to the last full measure of selfless devotion, we demonstrate our belief in the ultimate triumph of truth and righteousness, then goodness enters our lives and we can begin to change the world. Micha Mocha at the top of page 8. Lord, the middle of page 8. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Vishamru. Vishamru, Vishamru, Inei Yisrael, et HaShabbat, La'asot, et HaShabbat, Le'dorotam v'ritolam. Meini u'v'nei Yisrael, Oti le'olam. Meini u'v'nei Yisrael, Oti le'olam. V'shamru, v'shamru inei Yisrael, et HaShabbat, La'asot, et HaShabbat, Le'dorotam v'ritolam. Ki she'eshet yamim asa Adonai, et hashamayim v'et ha'aretz. V'shamru, v'shamru inei Yisrael, et HaShabbat, La'asot, et HaShabbat, Le'dorotam v'ritolam. U'layom ha'shvi'i, Shabbat vayinavash. U'layom ha'shvi'i, Shabbat vayinavash. V'shamru, v'shamru inei Yisrael, et HaShabbat, La'asot, et HaShabbat, Le'dorotam v'ritolam. On page 10, just above the beginning of the tefillah, you'll find the reading, "A thought has blown the marketplace away." We're going to start with a nigun and then go into this text. Yai hai hai, 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 yai hai hai. A thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind, joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Lai lai lai, yai hai hai, yai hai 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 hai, yai hai hai, yai hai. trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. And now we rise either in body or in spirit as we begin our tefillah. Adonai, Svatai, Svatai tiftach ufi yagir tehilatecha. Adonai, Svatai, Svatai tiftach ufi yagir tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'Konei Hakol, Ve'Zocher Chasdei Ahavot ve'Imahot, U'Mevigu El Halivnei V'neihem, Le'man Shemo ve'Ahava, Melech Hoser u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Zarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei ha'kol atarav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechayei ha'kol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofech oholim, U'matir asurim, U'mekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al givurot, U'midam melech, Melech memit u'mechayeh, U'matzmiach Yeshua, V'neman atah lehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kdoshim b'chol yom yahallelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el hakadosh. Let us be seated. We join together at the top of page 12. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu Amcha Yisrael Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu Ve'amcha Yisrael U'tefilatam U'tefilatam Ve'ahavat Yikavel U'tefilatam U'tefilatam Ve'ahavat Yikavel Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu Ve'amcha Yisrael Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu Ve'amcha Yisrael U'tehil ratzon tamid Adonai Yisrael Hamelcha U'tehil ratzon tamid Adonai Yisrael Hamelcha Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu Ve'amcha Yisrael Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu Ve'amcha Yisrael Baruch atah Adonai she'otecha levadecha The middle of page 13. May it be your will, O our God, that we be allowed to stand in places of astonishing light and not in dark places. And may our hearts know no pain. And may our vision not be so clouded that we would not see all the blessings of life that you have given us. And just above where we read that paragraph, Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha lucha na'el lehodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. And we join together at the top of page 14, Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki take a moment now for our own private prayers. Oh, say shalom, Bimroma. Oh, say shalom, Bimroma. Uyase, uyase, uyase shalom. Uyase, uyase, uyase shalom. Uyase, uyase, uyase shalom. Alleluia. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Oh, say shalom, Bimroma. Oh, say shalom, Bimroma. Uyase, uyase, uyase shalom. Uyase, uyase, uyase shalom. Uyase, uyase, uyase shalom. Alleluia. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. It is my honor now to turn the podium and microphone over to Rabbi Goodman. Let me mask up and move my things out of the way.
Shabbat Shalom. It's more than an honor, it's an absolute delight to be here this evening. And my sermon is a little shorter than it usually is, so I'm going to indulge myself with a couple of comments. Coming in to temple tonight and only seeing a very few people, it's bewildering. Coming into the sanctuary and looking out to seats that are empty is a strange feeling. But like Dr. Fauci, I believe that we are doing what we've done so that we can remain alive and healthy, so that very soon we can greet each other, we can give each other hugs, we can be mishpacha, family, together in person. You're going to need a few minutes to get adjusted to it the first time you're back. It's somehow doesn't feel right, yet it's very right. So I wanted to kind of give you a heads up on that. Cantor mentioned that we use the same Hebrew prayers week after week. I remember when many of you remember the blue book. We have the red one, we have the gray one, and we have the new wonderful Mishkan Tefillah. But that Gates of Prayer, which was published around 1976, has 10 different Shabbat evening services. And generally, they have most or all of the Hebrew prayers that we do week after week. It's the structure of our service. And we can give ourselves the freedom to add special readings that are relevant to us. The prayer book and the Haggadah are two ongoing creative collections of Jewish life and literature. And it's so much in it. So those same prayers, I used to think when I started as a rabbi, it's boring. We're doing the same thing every week. But then I was in Israel and I met my son's fiancée. Her parents and her brothers worship at a Sephardic Orthodox synagogue. No English, no headings. And how did I find my way through the service, which had a lot of unfamiliar things in it? The prayers I knew. They were road maps, they were road signs along the path of prayer of our community being together for Shabbat. So it comes in very handy. And what I realized in listening to Cantor Barry here is even more incredible than listening to her through Zoom or streaming. It's really neat. I began to think, how many different melodies for these same prayers have you introduced us to? Unbelievable. I didn't know there were so many. I grew up with one melody, maybe two. But we've had a wonderful exposure to the wide range of Jewish creativity. And I thank you. Thank you for making this difficult year and a half so much easier. Just imagine reading the following statement from the URJ, the Union of Reform Judaism. It used to be the UAHC. The Reform Jewish movement, the governing body of Reform Judaism, has posted as additional qualifications for rabbis, cantors, and other Jewish professionals. 1, must be computer literate, must be skilled in Zoom and live streaming, must know how to lead online worship for Shabbat, holidays, B'nai Mitzvah, weddings, funerals. Being technology savvy is just as important as being steeped in Jewish tradition and learning, of using our years of experience to enrich our worship and study experience. Strange. It almost appears that all our years of studying and experience have to take a back seat because of the needs of today. These qualifications were as alien to Cantor Barry as they were to me. I learned to send text messages because I wanted to be able to reach my daughter in California in less than 2 days. She really has 2 jobs, including with 2 teenage boys. And it was hard to reach her, and I never knew when. So when I text her, she gives me a quick and brief response. And then if we need to deal more, we do it when she has time and I have time. I've become very accustomed to texting. And you know what? It may be more impersonal than talking on the phone or seeing someone, but it's awfully handy in this world. Cantor Barry faced a huge challenge to learn a totally new technology and somehow bring the beauty of Shabbat worship week after week to us. And it almost seems seamless the way you do it. And I'm watching tonight, and it just flows. It's amazing, and we are truly blessed. As we as individuals and as a faith community faced an often hostile world, the world of COVID-19, loneliness and separation are lurking around the corner. We've had to make an extra special effort to overcome political, social, and economic crises and differences and threats to relationships. To retain our sense of community has been a huge challenge. We're quick to point out the problems we've faced: frustration, impatience, the devastating effect of isolation and illness, and so much more. About a week ago, a minister in Reston, Virginia, Reverend Deborah Hafner, a Unitarian Universalist minister, wrote an op-ed that was published in USA Today. Hers is a beautiful affirmation of the good things that have come out of this very difficult crisis. Her words are so special that I have chosen to share them with you tonight. I don't think I could catch which she caught in these words. She titles it, "How My Church Stayed Connected During COVID." It's been more than a year since I've seen my congregants in person. More than a year since we held our last in-person church service. Since I visited a congregant in the hospital, held a dying congregant's hand, or cried with a new widow. It's been more than a year since my church and tens of thousands of churches and synagogues have had to create worship on Zoom, Facebook, or YouTube. Although some religious leaders have gotten headlines by denying the COVID crisis, saying that there is no COVID virus, and have continued to hold services and rallies, many of us, most of us, spent the past year doing everything we could to keep our people connected and safe. We proclaimed early in the pandemic that while the building is closed, a religious center is still open. That while our faith may be worth dying for, in-person services are not. In a few short weeks, in March 2020, we bought ring lights, cameras, special microphones, and mastered the art of preaching on Zoom. And by the way, the sound system here has never been so good. I mean, you are going to love it. Some of us learned to do communion and Ash Wednesdays outside from 6 feet away from everyone. We conducted funerals, weddings, and baby dedications on Zoom, surprising ourselves in how intimate and sacred the rites still felt. The Spirit was present despite the distance. We learned to create meaningful holidays online. We got through the Jewish High Holy Days and Eid and Christmas, and are planning our second Easter online now. I think we will enjoy the creativity if the situation wasn't so apocalyptic. We did everything we could to stay connected. Congregants created phone trees to check on each other. Last spring, every family in my congregation was contacted every week at home. This fall, we created neighborhood circles so people could shop for each other in case of illness and drop off encouraging notes. We held drive-thrus to continue our online collections for organizations that serve our neighbors and held small group meetings of other 10 people outside, socially distanced and masked in our parking lots. Very surprisingly, many of our congregations have not only survived but thrived and transformed during the pandemic. We have many more people attending services remotely than we used to have in person. Attendance at our worship services is 50% higher than it was pre-COVID. Amazing. We have had 15 people officially join my church as members. None of them have ever been in our church building. People who are ill, elderly, or had moved away from our area now join us each week. I have a suspicion that at least some of my congregants prefer watching worship on their sofas, drinking coffee, and eating breakfast. When I went to put on a tie, other than the funerals I've officiated in the last 15, 16 months, the ties looked strange. The ties looked at me and said, "What are you doing here?" There's lots of adjusting. Our individual congregations have not fared so well. So many are lonely. So many are dealing with mental health issues because of this isolation. Prior to COVID, mine was often the only hug some of my single congregants received in the week. Some of them haven't been touched by someone else in more than a year. Mental health issues have been exacerbated. So many of our congregants are experiencing financial difficulties and hardship. Many are wrestling with parenting, vocational, and relationship issues. For every couple that feels closer from quarantine, another is contemplating divorce. I've done more pastoral care in the past month than any month in my career. Everyone is tired of living like this, including your minister, your rabbi, your imam. We want to come back to in-person worship. But no, we're not going to have a church just for people who have been vaccinated. Our commitment is to full inclusion and equity. And that means that we will only come back when all can attend, either in person or virtually. And thank God, the vaccinations are becoming available for every adult. Congregations like mine are working to obtain the technology to stream services and assure that our spaces are well ventilated. Nothing feels easy and nothing is easy, including the emails and the calls wanting to know why we aren't already back in the building and if the numbers are going down. The confusing and contradictory messages haven't helped, nor has it helped that clergy weren't considered a priority for vaccines. And in the past year, there were a number of times that I was in an ICU unit with a person who didn't have COVID, but who was dying. Yet despite everything, our faith held, and so did love and hope. Belonging to a beloved community got many of us through the past year, as it will get us through the months ahead. And we see that the end of the road is not far. Rabbi Harold Kushner tells the story of a Catholic priest who, as a young priest, could devote all of his energies to serving his people and to serving God. He was happy that he wasn't married, that he didn't have family to worry about. He was much too busy to be bothered by a wife or children or other mishpacha. That is, until he became an old man with no living relatives. And then he understood that he did not understand, but he knew that he was very alone, and he knew what he had missed. It was through giving to others, caring for people dear to you, sharing both good times and bad with them, that life takes on so much greater meaning. You've heard me say how special it is for me to see you on Zoom without a mask. People dear to me, people who have touched my life. And I want to tell you, when I look out in the sanctuary, I am seeing all of you. I am thinking of you as individuals, people that we've seen each other so much via Zoom. You're here, and soon you will be here in person. Even when we are isolated physically, we are not isolated emotionally or spiritual. We are kindred souls. Our lives are inextricably bound to each other and bound together. So we offer our thanks and gratitude to Cantor Barry, to Mary Ellen, to Jean, to Edwina, to all the staff here who have helped to keep our caring community connected. We also offer thanks to the gods of technology who have helped us maintain our humanity in the face of so many challenges. We pray for patience with each other, for accepting the glitches that occur as we face these uncharted waters, and we eagerly await the return to the new normal, whatever that might be. Shabbat Shalom.
To that, Rabbi, we say amen, and thank you so much for sharing your words with us, the op-ed that you found. I'm a little embarrassed by how often you said my name, but I do appreciate it so much. Thank you. We turn our thoughts now to those who are in need of healing. We're on page 16. We pray for family, friends, members of this congregation, and for everyone who is injured or ill in body or in spirit. Give strength and purpose, unflagging energy, and deep wells of patience to all who seek healing, and to their caregivers, family, and friends. Our congregation is especially thinking this Shabbat of Carol Babcock, Donna Berlin, Rosalie Teddy Bono, Cantor Joel Bressler, Dr. David Cassis, Tom Davis, Devorah Bott Ruchel, Helene Edwards, Lisa Eisenberg, Art Fields, Amanda Garamita, Jim Grant, Mary Sue Grinan, Mary Hartman, Robert Kay, Barry Critcheff, Marilyn Levitt, Teresa Levy, Barbara McDonald, Karen Mitchum, Moshe David Ben-Yetta, Gary Nadler, Naomi Nagel, Kayla Neckel, David Osofsky, Laura Osofsky, Buddy Pollock, Jean Posen, Joyce Racklin, Randall Rout, Sandra Resnikoff, Alex Rosen, Stephanie Sibilia, Ruthie Silver, Nicholas Sobek, Bernice Tobias, Lois Van Alstine, David Van Alstine, Ruth Van Alstine, Judy Van Gorder. And if you have someone else that you are thinking of this evening, take a moment and say those names aloud now. So for all of those whom we've named aloud and those we hold dear in our hearts, we join together with the Mishaberach. Mishaberach avoteinu, kor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives Shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. You'll find the Aleinu in the middle of page 17, and we rise either or in body or in spirit. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. We can be seated. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. Congregational family is observing the period of Shiva now for Blanche Chalk, and the period of Shloshim for William A. Shedlin and Myra Dubrovkina. In the Shabbat, we observe the yahrzeit for Suzanne Listner-Bernard, Jenny Bloom, Cora Borakova, Albert Cohen, Sue Kaur, Eleanor Dorman, Martin Feldman, Ellen Flynn, Ruby S. Friedberg, Max L. Friedberg, Lois Isaac Geffen, Martin Marty J. Gottlieb, Albert Gottlieb, Minna Halley, Frank Howard, Rick Isrig, Albert Israel, Ruth Taxier Joseph, Irving B. Corman, Dr. David Krutchik, Bernard John Levy, Harry Meiselman, Phyllis Anathan Myers, Barbara Palev, David M. Rhine, William Resnick, Joseph Riders, Anne E. Ringgold, Ida Rosenberg, Dr. Irving Schneider, Fanny Schoenbraun, Ray Simon, David Snyder, Evelyn Turitz, Jules Wagman, Harvey R. Wasserman, Milton Wishner, Harold Yagin, Sanford Soller. For all of those whom we've named aloud and those who we hold dear in our hearts, we rise together on page 19 for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayei chon uvyomei chon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agalal uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach la'alamul almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yatadar v'yataleh v'yatalal shemedu kudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran ba'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'asei shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who makes peace on high make peace for all of us, for all of Israel, for all those who mourn. And let us say, amen. And please be seated. Gabby Young was all ready to deliver announcements for us this evening over Zoom until I reminded everybody we weren't holding services over Zoom. So I ended up with that privilege this evening. Shabbat Shalom. We continue to worship, learn, and engage with our community virtually, mostly on Zoom, tonight live stream, and we have started in-person Saturday Shabbat morning services by reservation. Tomorrow morning, Torah study begins at 9 a.m. with me, and then we'll continue with services at 10:30. If you made reservations to be here in the building, we are holding Torah study as a hybrid program beginning tomorrow morning. So those of you who made reservations to be in the building will be here with us in the room, and those of you at home will be joining from home over Zoom, and we have an exciting new piece of technology called the Owl that we will be experimenting with, and I'm actually very excited to use it. On Monday, April 19th, we have Introduction to Judaism with Rabbi Raskin at 7 p.m. On Tuesday morning at 10:30, Wisdom will be with Cantor Barry. Wednesday, April 21st, The Religions of Abraham, Comparing Our Faith, Contemporary Challenges and Historical Linkages with Rabbi Kotok will begin at 7 p.m. Temple is seeking guest presenters to lead wisdom discussions. If you have Jewish wisdom or stories to share in an open discussion forum, we'd love to hear from you. Wisdom classes are held regularly on Tuesdays from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. Email Mary Ellen in the office if you are interested in facilitating a wisdom discussion. Also, if you would like to help usher at Shabbat services or help with technology, please do contact Temple. Temple events can be found online in our Week at a Glance, Temple Times, and the Temple website, and the Messenger. I will tell you, everything is on the website, anything you want to access, and there's going to be just more and more on that website as we go forward. It's going to be your source for information. Catch our social media postings on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and check out our YouTube channel at thetemplejax.org for recorded services and programs. And I don't know if you checked your email this week, but some very exciting news. On Friday, May 14th, we're going to be holding our confirmation service here in the building in person with our confirmation students and their families. That Sunday evening, May 16th, we're going to hold an in-person Shavuot evening service. We will include our Yizkor service as part of that worship experience. And then following Shavuot, our expectation is to be here in person, of course with reservation and limited seating, but in person for both Friday evening and Saturday morning services, beginning, I guess that's something like the 20th or 21st of May. So it is very exciting. We've been watching that infection rate and have been thrilled to see it stay below 5%, and may it continue. And thank you, all of you, for becoming vaccinated and making this something that is possible for us to once again be together in this room as a family. And yes, it is strange and wonderful all at the same time. And we do look forward to seeing your faces here in the pews. So I would like now to invite Rabbi and Marilyn to come back on over as we make Kiddush and Motzi together. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techilah למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כיוונו לך אתה, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. L'chaim. Oh, you're okay. We're going to wait to drink.
No. No, my face is covered. Okay.
It's real.
All right, Rabbi. I think you can lead us in Motzi.
And afterward, the alternate motzi.
Okay.
Go.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam,
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. B'tei avon. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, thank you.
A quick true confession. Some of the Hebrew that I'll come up
Yeah,
to
just
it.
in case.
Some of the Hebrew is difficult to translate from the Hebrew into transliteration, especially the chaz and so on. And I've had words that I've had to practice before the High Holy Days that I don't see during the year. Well, Marilyn had a particular problem with the word achilat from ochel on the al achilat matzah. And we practiced it every day during Passover. You do the motzi, and then you do Baruch atah Adonai up to V'tzivanu al achilat matzah. So I decided that Marilyn needs to remember this so we can be ready for next Pesach. So after we do the motzi before each meal, then we do the alternate motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat lechem. Okay, so it's a combination here. And I promise you, Marilyn, you will remember it when we get to Pesach next year. Thank you for indulging.
Thank you. I forgot one announcement, very important. Tomorrow evening at Jack's Beach Pier, Jafty is hosting a beach cleanup from 5 to 7 p.m. Everyone is welcome to join, but the weather is not looking great for tomorrow afternoon, so Mara is going to be keeping her eye on the weather, and she will send out a message to the congregation late in the afternoon if it looks like we're going to have to reschedule that at some other time. Okay, so we're going to close this evening on page 21 with Lichi Lach. Lichi Lach, to a land that I will show you. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach, to a land that I will show you. Lech lecha, to a place you do not know. Lechi lach, on your journey I will bless you. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. Lechi lach, and I shall make shall be our blessing. You shall be our blessing. You shall be our blessing. Lechilah. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you, Rabbi and Marilyn, for joining me on the Bima. Shabbat Shalom.